In this video, we'll delve into the events that occurred in 2019 in the English town of Yarm. Yarm is a small town in North Yorkshire with a population of about 10,000. Luke Jobson was about to head home after a fun night out with friends in the Keys. But it didn't go as planned. A chance confrontation forever changed his and his family's lives. His disappearance sparked an astonishing response from the Teesside public, who came together to help find the popular 22-year-old. Tragically, the search was in vain. Luke's death caused devastation throughout a tight-knit community and saw tributes paid to him from across Teesside and the worlds of sport and entertainment. Luke, who went to St. Patrick's Comprehensive and Harewood primary schools in Thornaby, was months away from qualifying as an electrical and mechanical engineer after 4 years of studying and an apprenticeship. He was a handsome and popular man and a talented sportsman. Luke played football, starring as a center forward for Thornaby Central as a youngster. One coach described him as the fastest thing on two legs. His dad, Stuart, also described his love of clothes and looking his best. The man added, "He would always tell me if there was a crease in my shirt. He took pride in his appearance, he loved his clothes, and he was immaculate. If I wanted to go anywhere with him, he would check me up and down. He took pride in how he looked, but he was beautiful inside and out. He was a really genuine person." On Saturday, January 26, 2019, Luke and his friends spent time at one of the most popular places in Yarm, a nightclub called The Keys. As previously mentioned, Yarm is a small town. All the nightlife this place could offer was on the high street, where The Keys still works today. As you can see, it is quite a busy street. There are many different establishments here. Luke was at The Keys on Saturday night. However, he never returned home. His parents tried calling him on Sunday morning, but the young man didn't answer. Moreover, none of his friends knew where he might be. His family launched an urgent appeal on Facebook, and dozens of people joined the search for him. The first official information that police were looking for Luke came later on Sunday. A spokeswoman for Cleveland Police said, "Luke has not returned home or been in touch with family or friends, and they are extremely concerned as it is out of character." Police have appealed to members of the public for private CCTV or dashcam footage in the area. The police learned about a possible conflict involving Luke Jobson shortly before his disappearance. According to information spread on social networks, he got into a quarrel with several people. All this happened around 2 a.m. in front of the nightclub. The last people saw him was near Yarm School at around 2:15 a.m. The police, of course, started checking this information, but the priority task at that time was the search for the missing young man. Luke's girlfriend, Danny Ord, made a desperate appeal on social media, saying she was going through an absolute nightmare and begging anyone with information to report it. Luke's cousin Jake appealed via Facebook to all concerned people, asking to help in the search. He wrote, "Surely someone knows where our Luke is. He can't just disappear last seen running in Yarm High Street away from a gang of lads." Friends and family started looking for Luke near the river in Yarm on Sunday in a search that would soon become a large-scale operation. Hundreds of people gathered in the Yarm School car park to help with the search on a bitterly cold Monday morning. Many didn't know Luke personally, but the response to a Facebook appeal showed Teesside at its best. Cars full of people slowly entered the park. Plenty of others turned up on foot, wrapped up in hardy winter gear, ready to do whatever it took. In the end, more than 300 people came to help. A total of 18 large groups searched areas as far afield as Preston Park, Stokesley, Cotham Wood, at Early Nook, and Hilton. Specialist police search teams also scoured the banks of the Tees close to Yarm School. But at 1 p.m., everyone involved in the search heard the devastating news that everyone feared. Despite the tremendous efforts of the emergency services and Luke's family and friends, the search ended in tragedy. They canceled the search operation after police had found a body in the River Tees. Cleveland police said, "A body recovered in the river at Yarm by officers who had been searching for missing Luke Jobson has sadly been confirmed as being that of the 22-year-old. Our thoughts are with Luke's family and friends at this very difficult time, and specially trained officers will continue to support them." Following Luke's death, his parents, Lisa Jobson and Stuart Banks, paid an emotional tribute to their son. They described him as a popular and ambitious young man who loved the gym. His heartbroken mother, Lisa, said, "Me and his dad are so proud we made somebody like him. I couldn't have asked for a better son. We're proud of everything he's done and everything he is. We want to celebrate him. We want everybody to remember him for the good." Luke's death led to a phenomenal outburst of emotion in Teesside. Tributes from friends and loved ones flooded social media as people were left heartbroken by his sudden death. A huge crowd gathered in Yarm on Tuesday evening to hold a vigil in his memory. Everyone lit the candles and added ribbons to social media profiles to mark his passing. Close to 1,000 people attended the vigil, and the family spoke of their appreciation for the public's help in the days following Luke's disappearance. The gathering included a firework display and the crowd bursting into a rendition of "Angels" by Robbie Williams. People left vast numbers of ribbons, balloons, and flowers in his memory close to the scene of his death. Pop star Robbie Williams was among those to pay tribute, tweeting, "Luke Jobson, rest in peace, Brother X." Moreover, there were football matches held in Luke's memory to raise money for charities his family chose. Luke's girlfriend Danny added that she was living a nightmare following his death. In a touching tribute on Instagram, she wrote, "Nothing will ever take this pain away. The most gentle, loving, and liked boy that I luckily had the pleasure to be with. Trying so hard to be strong, but it just feels as though I'm in a dream and haven't woke up. Thank you for all the memories. I will make you proud. You really were just too good for this world. I love you always, Luke." Investigating Luke's death, the police interviewed a large number of people, including those who were in a nightclub that night. Soon after, the police obtained the CCTV footage, which confirmed the information received earlier about a conflict between Luke and other guys that night. Let's take a look at this recording. Luke is wearing a gray t-shirt, jeans, and white sneakers. You can see how several aggressively minded people start walking in his direction after he says something to someone. Everything ends with Luke running away and several people running after him. News about a confrontation being the reason for his death emerged almost immediately after Luke's disappearance. While the speculation about what had happened continued spreading across social media, the police only mentioned the reports of an altercation before his disappearance. Initially, they arrested 6 teenagers, 3 boys aged 16 and 3 aged 18, on suspicion of taking the life of Luke Jobson. However, they soon released all of them, and the detectives continued their investigation. The new development in the case occurred only in the following January. Cleveland police said 5 people, ranging in age from 17 to 20, had been charged with affray using or threatening unlawful violence, not taking Luke's life, and would soon appear in court. One of the teenagers, a 17-year-old who has since turned 18, has never been named publicly because of the legal restrictions imposed due to his age. The 4 others are 20-year-old Edwin Taha, who did not admit he started the fight, 19-year-old Ryan Alpay, who denied the fact that there was a fight, 19-year-old Ali Abdul-Majid, who did not admit his guilt, and 18-year-old Hamad Asif, who also denied that there was a fight. Unfortunately, I could not find his image. The reports described Edwin Taha as the leader of the gang. In England and Wales, the law states, 1. A person is guilty of affray if he uses or threatens unlawful violence towards another, and his conduct is such as would cause a person of reasonable firmness present at the scene to fear for his safety. 2. Where two or more persons use or threaten unlawful violence, it is the conduct of them taken together that must be considered for the purposes of subsection 1. 3. For the purposes of this section, a threat cannot be made by the use of words alone. Considering what we see on the recording, namely Luke running away, there is no doubt that he was worried about his safety. And as we will discover later, the threats against him were not only verbal. But before we learn more about the events preceding the death of Luke Jobson, we need to understand what caused the conflict that night. However, there is, unfortunately, no precise answer to this question because none of the suspects answered it. It also remains unclear where Luke's friends, with whom he attended a nightclub, were at the time of the quarrel. The recording released by the police does not answer this question. Based on what we see in this recording, we can assume that Luke was not planning to leave the club. After all, he is standing in a t-shirt. His jacket was inside the establishment. Footage released by police shows Luke confronting the gang before they force him to run for his safety. His superb athleticism allowed him to outrun his pursuers. That could have been the end of it. But Taha and the other future defendants returned to the nightclub, got into Abdulmajid's Volkswagen Golf, and caught up with Luke near the school. They got out of the car, and Taha sprayed Luke's face with an unknown substance, presumably pepper spray. It caused him to lose his sight. Trying to escape, Luke climbed over the wall into the Yarm School grounds. There, CCTV cameras captured him when he entered the boathouse. Unfortunately, no one ever again saw Luke, a man who loved life and always wanted to be the best he could be. So, after Taha pepper sprayed Luke's face, the gang got back into the car and drove away. It remains unclear whether Luke knew where he was going, but considering that he did not study at this school and that the tear gas left him disoriented, it is doubtful that he understood where he was going. If this was the case, perhaps he fell into the water once inside. Let me remind you that these events took place in January. The water in the river was very cold. According to the information the police announced, no one except for Luke entered the boathouse that night. Luke never came out from there. 2 days later, the police found his body in the water near the school. The death of the young man occurred as a result of drowning. As previously stated, all the suspects refused to admit guilt. None of them were in custody before the start of the trial. They released Edwin Taha on bail. Edwin Taha and Ali Abdulmajid changed their minds and admitted their guilt in the fight during the first court hearing on September 28, 2020. Pathologist Dr. Nigel Cooper and Dr. Jennifer Bolton conducted an autopsy and announced the results during the trial. The toxicology report showed Luke had consumed alcohol before his death. The amount he drank was likely to result in clear signs of intoxication in an average social drinker. Moreover, they found traces of a prohibited substance that he had taken some time before his death. The court heard that the presence of alcohol and a banned substance in his system would have made him more susceptible to the effects of hypothermia. There were no injuries that contributed to his death, and no injuries to indicate an assault had taken place. Also, he had no natural diseases that contributed to his death. There was also no evidence of inflammation of his eyes. The report said there was no pathological evidence of him having been sprayed with a substance prior to his death. However, witness statements confirmed that someone pepper sprayed Luke and that he was struggling to walk and unable to see. The inquest also heard how Taha returned to the high street, where he boasted to onlookers that he had pepper sprayed Luke. During the inquest, Senior Coroner Claire Bailey concluded that Luke was incapacitated by the use of pepper spray. The court announced the verdict in October 2020. Lisa Jobson fought back tears when she read out a statement in Teesside Crown Court as two young criminals faced justice for their actions on the night her 22-year-old son Luke lost his life. Miss Jobson described the gang who surrounded her son before chasing him through Yarm High Street as a pack of wolves. She said, "Luke was loved, cared, and protected from the day he was born. He was our world and our only boy. We could not have wished for a better son. We were so close. He was loving, caring, and beautiful both inside and out. He touched the hearts of everyone who knew him because he was kind, gentle, and genuine. He lit up a room when he walked in it. He had good friends from all backgrounds and cultures who were good people. He didn't have a nasty bone in his body. He loved life. He was positive, always wanting to be the best that he could be with everything he did. He was always looking forward to things and planning ahead. We miss Luke every minute of every day. The pain we feel never goes away. Our lives have been destroyed, and we will never be the same people again. This should never have happened. Luke has been robbed of his life at 22. His life was just beginning. That night, all of you were intent to harm, chased Luke in that car, and he was running scared from danger. He was alone, frightened, and vulnerable. You all acted like a pack of wolves, hunting him down. I know Luke was trying to get away to safety. He was heading towards his aunt's house, and you all made sure that did not happen by getting to him in that car. You know exactly what you did, Edwin Taha. When you sprayed our boy's eyes and face, causing Luke hurt and pain, you are all evil. We will never get out of our heads every minute of that night that Luke had to go through. Not one of you have had the guts to own up to what you have done to our boy. Knowing your faces are the last faces of terror our boy had to see on this earth is a living hell, and our boy could not get away safely is torture. We want someone to take away all of this pain and bring Luke back, but no one can. We are angry, sad, and bitter. You have made us into something that is the complete opposite to what Luke was about. Whatever happens to each and every one of you is never going to be enough. It is going to be me, Luke's dad, and his sister who are having to live a life sentence. At the trial, Abdul Majid's lawyer stated that his client did not know that Taha had pepper spray with him. He said, "This basis of plea is that he did not know his co-accused possessed a pepper spray. Only one in the dock knew that they had a weapon, and it was not Mr. Abdul Majid. He did not expect the victim to be assaulted with a weapon." During the hearing, Taha's lawyer said his client had a difficult childhood. But can a difficult childhood be an excuse? His lawyer said, he made wrong decisions, and on that night, something was said that sparked all of this off. It does not matter at all because what happened should never have happened, and he acknowledges that through me today. John Nixon, the lawyer defending Taha, told the court that his client and his brother had come to the UK from France when he was 4 years old. He could not speak a word of English. He said that their mother left them when he was 10 to go back to France, and they were left living with a foster family in Stockton. Judge Howard Crowson told the pair that neither of them was legally responsible for Luke's death. Yet, had he not been chased along Yarm High Street, he would not have entered the Yarm High School and the boathouse, and he would not have drowned in the River Tees. On October 30th, 2020, 20-year-old Edwin Taha was sentenced to 21 months in prison after he pleaded guilty to a fray. Plus, he received another 4 years and 4 months of imprisonment on charges related to prohibited substances. A second man, 19-year-old Ali Abdul Majid of Corvus Drive, Stockton, also admitted a fray. The court sentenced him to 15 months suspended for 18 months. Teesside Crown Court heard he had been driving the car that pursued Luke. The court also ordered Abdul Majid to undergo 300 hours of unpaid work. After the hearing at Teesside Crown Court, the senior investigating officer, Temporary Detective Chief Inspector Sarah Robinson, said, "Police inquiries showed that an altercation had taken place on Yarm High Street before Luke was pursued by a number of males in a vehicle. When these males caught up with him, Luke was sprayed in the eyes with a noxious substance which had an adverse effect on him. Whatever the intentions were of the males who chased Luke that evening, his family have been left without their beloved son and brother, and the impact that this has had on his entire family has been immeasurable. Nothing will ever bring Luke back. However, now that the criminal case has concluded, We hope that this brings some form of closure for his family and that they can now somehow look to move forwards with their lives. The prosecution dropped charges against 19-year-old Ryan Alpay and 18-year-old Hamad Asif. In conclusion, I will quote the words of Chris Atkinson of the Crown Prosecution Service. Following the sentencing in October 2020, Chris Atkinson said, "While Taha and Abdul Majid have been sentenced for these charges, our thoughts remain with the family of Luke Jobson, for whom this will no doubt be a particularly difficult time. While we have proved beyond reasonable doubt that both men were involved in an affray with Luke prior to his death, there is absolutely no evidence to suggest any causal link between their actions and the tragic events which occurred after their attack took place." Do you agree with the prosecutor's statement? Please share your opinion in the comments.